Hi, channel members. My name is Camila, I'm 29 years old, and today I'm going to share another one of my experiences with you. For those who don't know me yet, I'm a 1.62 m tall, 56 kilograms woman with long light brown hair that usually draws attention wherever I go. I was born and raised in a rural area, on a farm that belonged to my grandfather. It was there that my story began to take unexpected turns. My grandfather's farm was a peaceful place, but full of memorable moments, some happy, others challenging, all of them fundamental in building who I am today. My grandfather had a difficult temperament, sometimes even rude, and since I was little I noticed something peculiar in the way he dealt with people and situations around him. I've always been very curious since I was a child, something that perhaps arose from my passion for romantic stories that I used to read in secret. Each book made me travel and see the world through different eyes. These stories awakened feelings that intensified as I grew up. On the farm, my stepfather Daniel took great care of me. He was very close to me, and I also felt great affection for him, but in a very particular way. Sometimes, I would deliberately cause mischief. He made a point of taking me to school, even when it meant traveling longer distances, because he wanted to see me grow academically. My mother, Helena, would accompany me on some occasions, especially when Daniel was busy with other responsibilities. After I finished high school and was accepted into college, at the right age, Daniel helped me get my driver's license and even gave me a brand new car as a gift. It was at university that I met Andre, my first boyfriend. My academic life was going well, and my routine seemed calm. I would leave classes and go straight to Andre's apartment, while my parents stayed home, since my brothers were focused on their studies. Although I was dedicated to my studies, I felt a growing need for company. It was difficult to ignore the feelings that a relationship brought. However, Andre didn't want anything serious, just something more casual, which frustrated me. We broke up a few times, but he always insisted on getting back together. Daniel didn't hide his dissatisfaction with the situation, saying that I should insist on the relationship, because he believed that things would work out in the end. I was determined not to get involved in a serious relationship, especially at 23. This was the time to enjoy my youth, explore life and have fun to the fullest. The gatherings at the farm were always full of energy, with lively parties, and Daniel was constantly nearby, watching over me with an almost protective attention. On one particular day, I was with Andre near the stables. The weather was perfect, and we were kissing intensely. For a moment, I thought that since the farm was quiet that day, we could make the most of that corner. We decided to move away to a more private place, behind the sacks of feed. My heart was beating fast, filled with the adrenaline of the moment. As Andre approached me, I could sense his excitement, and the environment seemed to conspire in our favor. However, we were interrupted by an unmistakable cough. It was Daniel. My heart raced, and we quickly tried to hide it, returning to the group as if nothing had happened. Despite this, my mind remained in turmoil over everything that had just happened. Later, on a sunny afternoon, we were all by the pool. Something unexpected caught my attention. Involuntarily, I noticed Daniel's physical characteristics, something I had never noticed before. It was a disconcerting thought, but inevitable. I couldn't help but compare him to Andre and, to my surprise, I noticed a striking difference. A wave of shame and curiosity took hold of me, and I tried to push those thoughts away, without much success. The afternoon went on peacefully, full of laughter and jokes, until the sun began to set. My mother, Helena, informed me that she would stay at my grandmother's house, who was not feeling well, and Daniel would pick her up the next day. I decided to leave with Andre, who tried a few advances on the way, but my thoughts were completely elsewhere. I left him at home and returned to the farm alone. When I arrived, I found everything in absolute silence. I took advantage of that moment to take a long shower, trying to get my thoughts in order. However, the image of Daniel would not leave my mind. It was as if he was present even in my solitude. After my shower, I put on some comfortable shorts and a light blouse, applied my favorite body lotion, and finished with a little perfume. The silence of the house seemed to amplify my thoughts as I struggled to understand what I was feeling. Suddenly, I heard the door opening. Daniel had arrived and went straight to the bathroom. I stayed in the living room, trying to appear calm, but his proximity was already affecting me in ways I couldn't explain. After showering, he went to the kitchen, acting as naturally as ever. "And my brothers?" I asked, in an attempt to ease the tense atmosphere. "They're at the farm, they'll be back later," he replied, without even turning around. To my surprise, Daniel approached and stopped right in front of me, his gaze filled with an intensity unlike usual. "What was that scene, Camila?" he asked directly, and my heart began to beat faster. I barely knew what he was referring to. "You and Andre, kissing like that. Do you think no one saw?" He kept his gaze steady, while I, embarrassed, looked away, remembering the situation near the stable. Instinctively, my eyes lowered, noticing something that made the situation even more embarrassing: the obvious bulge in his clothes. The tension in the room was growing, and it seemed impossible to ignore what was happening. He noticed my reaction and, in a soft, almost provocative voice, asked, "Did you think I wouldn't notice?" Without any warning, Daniel grabbed my arms with a firmness that wasn't aggressive, but extremely secure. He pulled me closer, in a way that made my whole body wake up. "You don't understand, Camila. You're completely mine," he declared, his voice low and full of emotion, as I felt his heat so close to me. In that moment, all the fantasies I had repressed began to emerge. It was as if Daniel had the ability to see beyond my facade, reading the thoughts I kept locked away. The atmosphere between us was dense, and every moment seemed charged with desires that we both tried to hide. Daniel noticed my silence and continued speaking in a tone that sounded loaded with meaning. It was clear that he had noticed my glances during that afternoon. Something changed at that moment. A different tension took over the room, as if we were about to cross an invisible line. Without thinking about the consequences, I approached him impulsively. The moment was intense, full of confusing emotions. The world around me seemed to have disappeared. It was as if only the two of us existed at that moment. Daniel, always confident and sure of himself, led me to his room. When the door closed, I felt my heart race. The air was filled with expectation and an anxiety that seemed to consume me. It was a completely new situation, different from anything I had ever experienced. He placed me firmly on the bed. His touch was intense, each movement filled with desire. As he ran his kisses and caresses over my body, I felt a wave of sensations that I had never experienced before. Each gesture seemed to involve me in a new discovery. That moment was unique and intense, something that seemed to escape the control of time. My body reacted involuntarily, taken by adrenaline and desire. Everything happened quickly, but incredibly striking. Daniel made me feel things I had never felt before, a mix of intensity and vulnerability. That night became a turning point in my life. Every detail is still engraved in my memory, and when I remember everything, I feel a whirlwind of contradictory feelings: desire, guilt, excitement and fear, all coexisting at the same time. Now, writing this story in a silent dawn, the memories are still clear. It was a moment that transformed me deeply, made me question my limits and the choices we make in life. Family gatherings have become different since then. Each one goes on with their own lives, and the subject of that night has never been mentioned between us. But when our eyes meet, they carry a weight of memories that both know will never be forgotten. As time went by, I realized that it was necessary to bury that day, to leave it in the past, as a memory that can never be relived. Did you like this story? Leave a comment telling us what you thought. And if you have experienced something similar, share your experience with us. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all the news. Here, we always bring life stories, reflections, and real experiences, with total sincerity. Thank you for watching until the end, and until the next video.